You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
So if you are a product manager right now, wow, it feels like you're trying to drink from a fire hose, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Every single week there's something new. A model, a framework.
Or some new internal data point that just throws your whole plan into chaos. It's genuinely hard sometimes to know what actually matters.
Yeah, what's real signal versus just static.
Precisely. So what we've done here is gather up the really critical stuff happening in product right now. We're looking at everything from, how AI is fundamentally changing user experience.
All the way to the sort of messy internal realities, like why teams sometimes struggle to execute, even with a good plan.
Right. And we boiled it down into, well, a focused analysis just for you. Consider this your cheat sheet for navigating the next 18 months or so in product strategy. We're aiming to cut through that overwhelm.
And the core mission here is pretty straightforward.
Mhm.
We want to understand how the product management role itself is changing. Because it is changing.
Definitely.
We see this clear shift away from just measuring output. How many things did we build?
Yeah, the feature factory idea.
Exactly, to proving impact.
Yeah.
Real evidence-driven impact.
Yeah.
Did what we build actually achieve the goal we set out? That's the new benchmark.
Okay, so we're going to tackle this evolution by looking at three sort of interconnected areas. First, we absolutely have to talk about AI, the whole transformation, and this pretty radical idea that the visual interface as we know it might be, well, fading.
The end of the UI. It's a big concept.
It is. Second, we'll look inward a bit at strategic planning, how to actually fix your roadmaps by maybe counterintuitively making them imperfect, embracing the chaos.
Yeah, anti-perfect roadmap. I like it.
And finally, we'll get into those execution traps, the organizational friction, the alignment problems that quietly sabotage momentum.
Sounds good. Where do we start? AI.
Let's dive right into AI. It's the elephant in the room, isn't it? Now, it's really easy to see generative AI and just think, oh, great, faster user stories, or I can mock up prototypes quicker.
And that's true. It can do that. But that's really surface level.
It feels like using a supercomputer to check your email, right? The analysis we've looked at suggests the real game changer is how it powers evidence-driven discovery.
Exactly. That's the core value. Think about the sheer cognitive load of research before. Analyzing hundreds, maybe thousands, of support tickets, survey answers, forum posts.
Hours and hours of manual tagging and synthesizing.
Right. AI can ingest all that and basically instantly surface the key pain points, the themes, the why behind the requests. It doesn't just tell you what people are saying, but it helps understand the underlying need.
Which then frees up the product manager's time for the stuff humans are actually good at.
Like empathy. Understanding the context.
Exactly. And collaborating on the solution, making the judgment calls about which problem is truly worth solving right now. AI handles the what and why of the research.
Leaving the PM to focus on the who are we solving this for and the how, what's the right approach.
And that change has massive ripple effects on the competitive landscape too, doesn't it? That old idea, the innovator's dilemma.
Yeah, where big companies ignored niche markets because they weren't big enough.
Right. But now, every time a major AI lab updates its model, it almost accidentally creates potential solutions for tiny niches. It just happens.
It collapses the boundary between a platform and an application. Things that used to require dedicated products can now emerge almost as features of a larger model.
Which leads to this really fascinating idea about the user experience itself. This concept being called the end of the user interface.
Now that sounds dramatic. We're not saying screens disappear entirely.
No, not at all. But the idea is moving away from interfaces as these complex visual control panels, endless buttons, menus, settings.
Towards something more conversational, more anticipatory, fundamentally based on trust. If an AI agent can reliably figure out your next few steps and just do them.
You don't need to click through 5 menus yourself.
Precisely. The interaction becomes less about navigating visuals and more about, intelligent conversation and delegation. Trusting the agent.
So, if that interface layer is becoming less visual, less about direct manipulation, what's that mean for developers? Their world changes too, right? It can't just be about CSS and React components anymore.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge shift. The focus has to move towards systems design, understanding the architecture that enables that intelligent interaction.
And ethics becomes central.
Hugely important. If the AI is making decisions or taking actions, the ethics baked into that system are critical. So it's systems thinking, ethical considerations, and designing the strategy for intelligent interaction, not just the visual layout.
Humans move up the stack, focusing on foresight and integrity.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, but there's a practical problem here, adoption. How do you get users to trust and use an AI feature they can't really understand or test drive in the traditional click-around way, that experience gap?
Yeah, you can't really judge it until you've actually used it and seen the benefit, which is why, frankly, a lot of the old monetization models are falling flat.
Who's confusing usage caps?
Yep.
Paper API call.
Exactly. Users get lost. They don't understand what they're paying for. The insight we're seeing is much simpler. Deliver value first.
Give them a really powerful trial. Let them actually achieve something significant with the AI.
Let them feel the magic of time saved or a better result. Then, once they see the value, you monetize with really intuitive limits.
Like what?
Instead of capping internal stuff like model calls, maybe you cap the number of successful outcomes per month. Like you can generate 10 finalized reports or resolve 50 customer issues automatically.
Ah, so you tie the limit directly to the value the user actually gets.
Precisely. It makes the cost make sense. It aligns pricing with utility.
That's a really interesting shift, moving from metering tech usage to monetizing actual business outcomes. And, that idea of internal shifts, it's a perfect bridge to our next topic. If the external world is changing this fast with AI, we can't afford internal processes that bog us down.
Like the dreaded roadmap process.
Exactly. Are you, or is your organization, maybe building what feels like a perfect roadmap? Because there's a real problem with trying to make it perfect.
Oh, it's so common. That demand from leadership for this beautiful, polished, year-long plan that predicts everything with absolute certainty.
Looks great in a presentation.
Looks great, but it's dangerous. First, it wastes incredible amounts of time. Endless meetings, refining wording, debating priorities that might change next week.
Time not spent talking to actual customers.
Bingo. And worse, once it's approved and looks all official, it becomes this monument. People are psychologically invested. So when the market shifts or a competitor does something unexpected,
People resist changing the perfect plan.
actively resist it. It discourages the very agility you need.
So, okay, if perfect is bad, what does a good roadmap look like? We still need some kind of plan, right? Especially for coordinating engineering, product design, the whole EPD group.
Of course. A useful roadmap needs to be, well, messy isn't quite the right word, but flexible, definitely. It has to be outcome-focused, not feature-focused.
Tied to strategic goals.
Exactly. And crucially, it needs to be honest about uncertainty. If you have areas where you're still exploring or don't have high confidence, the roadmap needs to reflect that. Show the question marks.
Instead of pretending you have all the answers.
Pretending certainty you don't have is misleading your stakeholders, not informing them. The roadmap is a communication tool for strategy and iteration. Acknowledging what you don't know is part of that.
Okay, that makes sense. Which brings us to that perennial PM headache, prioritization. How do you decide what does make it onto this flexible, outcome-focused roadmap? So many teams get stuck in those giant spreadsheets, scoring everything.
The Rice C-score matrix from hell,
Yeah.
trying to rank 50 features against 5 criteria.
And you end up debating the relative merits of features that might not even align with the core strategy anyway.
It's a huge time sink
Yeah.
and often leads to suboptimal decisions. The insight from the material we looked at is much simpler, much more effective. Filter first, then rank.
Filter by what?
By strategy. Look at your main strategic objective for the quarter or the half. Let's say it's increase enterprise adoption in Europe.
Okay.
Now, you get a feature request. It looks great on paper, maybe high ROI, easy engineering effort, but it only benefits your small business customers in the US.
Doesn't matter how high it scores.
Doesn't matter. It gets filtered out before you even spend time ranking it
Okay.
because it doesn't serve the strategic goal. That simple step clears out so much noise.
Focuses the EPD teams immediately on what actually moves the needle for the business right now.
Exactly. Rank only what survives the strategic filter.
That focus on impact. It connects to career progression too, right?
Yeah.
Particularly for PMs aiming for management, the analysis seems really clear. It's not just about being good with people.
No. People skills, collaboration, that's table stakes.
Right.
That's the baseline expectation.
Right.
To get promoted into management, you need to make a compelling case for impact. You have to demonstrate that giving you more resources, a bigger team, a budget will lead to significantly greater measurable business results.
You have to show you can expand your scope effectively.
And build those crucial cross-functional relationships, manage stakeholders, basically operate like a mini CEO for your product area. It's about leveraging resources for bigger impact.
Okay, impact, focus, strategy.
Hmm.
But even with all that seemingly right, things can still grind to a halt. Which brings us to our last major section. Execution. The execution trap.
Ah, yes. The trap is thinking that good orchestration is enough.
What do you mean by orchestration? Like assigning tasks, setting deadlines?
Exactly. Managing the Jira board, tracking dependencies, making sure everyone knows what they're supposed to do. That's necessary, obviously, but it's not sufficient.
What's missing?
Inspiration. Real, sustained execution needs both orchestration and inspiration. You need to connect the work to the why.
So how do you inspire when, say, the team's feeling burnt out or they've hit a roadblock and momentum has stalled?
Storytelling. It sounds a bit soft, maybe, but it's crucial. When things stall, the PM needs to translate the abstract stakes into something tangible and motivating for the team.
So instead of just saying, we missed the deadline, leadership isn't happy.
You frame it around the customer. Look, because we're blocked on this, 10,000 users are still stuck doing this painful manual process every day. Our goal is to eliminate that frustration for them. Let's figure out how to break through this for them.
Ah, connecting the daily work to the human impact.
Exactly. It rebuilds urgency and reminds people why the work matters. And celebrating small, meaningful wins along the way is key to keeping that momentum going.
And often a big reason momentum stalls is just organizational friction, internal stuff. There was some startling data on this, wasn't there, from Notion's research?
Yeah, the alignment gap. It's pretty eye-opening. You ask executives, and something like 85% of them feel their product development teams are fully aligned on goals and strategy.
Sounds pretty good.
But then you ask the actual individual contributors, the engineers, designers, PMs doing the work.
And?
Only 72% agree. That 13-point gap, that's not just a communication issue. That's where projects go off the rails, where time gets wasted.
And we have a good idea why that gap exists, right? The friction points.
Oh yeah, the data is clear. Almost every single team, 99%, says parts of the development process are still manual, repetitive, just plain time-consuming.
And the tool situation.
Don't get me started. 44% of EPD teams are juggling more than 6 different tools every single day just to do their basic jobs.
6 tools. Think about the context switching. Updating information in multiple places.
Chasing down data across different dashboards, it's exhausting. It kills focus. That's a huge source of friction and misalignment. Teams spend energy just managing the tools instead of building valuable stuff.
It really undermines that impact focus we talked about. Before we wrap up, just a quick point on timelines. How fast are companies actually hitting product market fit these days? Does it vary?
It varies significantly, and understanding that helps set expectations. AI startups, maybe surprisingly, seem to hit PMF in around 3 years on average, based on the data.
Okay.
But consumer-focused companies, especially those that are community-led, often move much faster, sometimes under 18 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
And enterprise.
Enterprise B2B, as you'd expect, generally takes longer, often 4, maybe 5 years to get to solid PMF.
Yeah.
Because the sales cycles are longer, integration is complex.
So your strategy really depends on your space. Consume PMs need rapid iteration, high risk tolerance. Enterprise PMs need patience, deep strategic planning.
Absolutely. The required mindset is different.
Okay. So wrapping all this together, if someone listening is navigating this product world, what's the one big takeaway, the through line in all this?
I think it's the fundamental shift from focusing just on the mechanics of delivery shipping features, managing backlogs, to being accountable for results, for impact.
Yeah.
Everything we discussed, whether it's using AI for smarter discovery or building flexible roadmaps or inspiring your team, it's all in service of proving you're driving real strategic business value. The role is evolving from feature manager to business leader.
Well said. We've covered a lot. The future of interface is becoming more conversational, the need for adaptable, imperfect roadmaps, turning orchestration into true inspiration. But I want to leave our listeners with one last thing to mull over.
Okay.
We touched briefly on this visual design trend that those big, glossy, full-width hero images on websites are kind of dying out.
Right. Being replaced by split layouts, more text-focused designs,
Yeah.
prioritizing clarity and speed.
Exactly. Now, connect that visual shift back to this idea of the conversational AI agent, the end of the interface we discussed. What does it signal when both our visual interfaces and our emerging AI interactions are prioritizing raw utility, clarity, and trust over polished aesthetics?
That function is overtaking form in a big way.
Maybe. What does it mean if the primary goal of the interface, visual or conversational, is simply to get the job done as efficiently and reliably as possible? What old design assumptions do we need to completely abandon? Something to think about for your next planning session.
Spoken Tech for your ears.